If you've got a team of 8 technicians and your dispatch is a whiteboard, you're potentially leaving deals and dollars on the table. In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how I would use OpenClaw to automate HVAC scheduling. I'm talking technician dispatch, route optimization, customer communication, emergency routing, follow-up scheduling, the whole thing. Let's get right into it. All right, so let's talk about scheduling in general. So someone phones us, they call us, and dispatcher responds to the phone call. Perhaps they start taking notes in the sticky notes. They might write things in a whiteboard depending on where they are. And then eventually after the call, or they might be already in the call, you might write things down in a spreadsheet. And what the situation is that this might be a little bit inconsistent depending on the person picking up the call, how good they are at recording everything the user requires of us or has to say, and making sure that then everything is properly recorded in our CRM. Now, why I say this is that because on the flip side, if we think about AI, what AI is really good at is basically connecting to our tools. So for example, if we have a CRM like Service Titan, what would happen is that the AI takes a call, for example. So it would answer any questions, understand what the user wants. And what's cool is that we get transcript of the call, and then we're able to understand what to exactly do depending on the outcome of the call. And everything is always basically consistently recorded and tracked because every call basically gets transcribed. So we basically are able to take proper notes and update the CRM accordingly in a consistent fashion. Of course, that requires proper training and development of the AI agent, so it's able to basically do as we request it to do. Now, one particular, let's say, framework has become quite popular recently, and that is OpenClaw. And quickly, what OpenClaw is basically an open source AI framework. So that is basically, it has mainly three things that make it its own framework. So of course, there is an AI agent layer that basically takes tools, that takes actions. So using something called tools, and it of course has memory about our situation, our business, and what we're also able to bring on top of it is also skills. So with skills, we're able to basically use it in a way that allows us to, or rather, we can enhance what it can already do based on pre-instructed commands. And what this is, if we really want to think about it in a simple way, is that this is ChatGPT that actually can do things in an autonomous way. And why it can do things, it's because we give it access to, for example, our CRM, or we give it access to our calendar. And what this AI agent will do, depending on the skills that it has and also the memory that it has about us, is that it will go and check, for example, the calendar, or it will go and do a specific action that we have instructed it to do, and also that it is trained on. So it's basically ChatGPT that has access to the tools that we use. So, for example, our CRM or our phone systems, and it can basically do however we train it to do, basically. Now, on the 5 automations that something or a framework like OpenClaw could, let's say, work with is, for example, let's start with the first one. It's technician dispatch. So it's basically able to know all the technicians that we have in the business, and depending on the location of the job or the specific details about the job, it's able to pre-assign. I would say it's best always to pre-assign and not let it assign definitively the specific technician for a specific job. Of course, then a human would be best to have a human in the loop, which would be basically approving of these, let's say, assignments. So we're able to basically automate that. And same goes with the route. So we're able to basically design the routes in a way that they are optimized, that they fall in a specific, let's say, direction. What's also really cool is that we're able to centralize client communication in one place. So we're able to give it access to our different modes of communication. And it could even potentially take charge of actually communicating with the specific customer. So that can mean that we can, for example, let it chat via text, but also call a specific customer, maybe for follow-ups or to remind them about anything, or to take actually inbound calls or any inbound inquiry that comes in at us. Or another way is that it's able, for example, to pick up a call and it understands that this is an emergency. So it basically classifies, hey, this is actually an emergency call. So what it does is that it's able to propose an override for a specific emergency. And that basically connects to what we had here above, where we basically would override due to an emergency that was coming. What it is also very good at is especially following up for specific, let's say, jobs. So, for example, if we need to remind someone about, say, we are meeting tomorrow, are we actually gonna do it? Are you still available, or would you like to reschedule, for example? So it can confirm that. But it also can basically allow the team to also automate any follow-up tasks. So, for example, if a service has been completed and we want to follow up every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, every month, then we're able to delegate that task for OpenClaw to make sure that every person gets contacted every so often. So we keep the communication line with our customers so that if in the future they might ever need us, then they would basically think of us because we keep the communication going. So of course, all of these are potentially runnable with something like OpenClaw because, as I said, it is basically deterministic. So that means that we are going to train it in a way that makes sense to our operations and to our business. So basically, that allows us to let it run 24/7 and take actions on our behalf. But I need to be blunt here and be clear that this comes with its own risks because, of course, we're giving access to an AI agent to specific tools. So it's really important to understand that when you give power to someone, it also comes with specific risks that could be potentially involved. Beyond the fact that you're able to give it access and it can take actions on your behalf, there's also, it's a infrastructure security problem where many people, for example, not knowingly would expose their instance online. So 42,000 actually have been exposed online just because they have not been very cautious in terms of the security. There is a lot of scales that are malicious. So there is something called prompt injection, and that means that we're putting instructions in the prompt for these specific scales to take specific actions that might not be intended by the person, for example, downloading the skills, because there is these skill marketplaces where you can basically download skills directly from this marketplace. So you can basically plug that and put it into your OpenClaw. And one needs to be very careful about these marketplaces, especially because there might be many people trying to take advantage of the fact that we just download things and place them into our OpenClaw, and then at some point a prompt injection would basically happen. So just to basically be clear, security is a really, really important topic, and for the moment being, I would only consider OpenClaw if someone is very technically savvy and is really, let's say, they know about what they're getting into, basically. And if you want to see, or if you want to discuss, let's say, if OpenClaw could be something interesting for your business, or if that could actually make sense for your business, then I would encourage to pick up a free consultation slot, which you can find in the top link in the description. And we can discuss and have a chat and really understand whether this could be something for your own business. And if you want to learn how we use AI to reactivate all memberships in an HVAC business, then I do want you to watch this video right here. See you there.